Once upon a time, in a village where secrets grew like weeds in the rainy season, there lived a girl named Adiz, beautiful, educated, respectful, the kind of daughter every mother prayed for, the kind of girl neighbors pointed to and said, "See, that is how to raise a child." But one morning everything changed. That morning the sun rose over a scandal so dark, so unthinkable that even the elders had no words for it. Because that morning, Adiz killed her mother, not in secret, not by accident. She killed her with her own hands in the quiet of dawn. And when the neighbors broke down the door and found her kneeling beside the body, blood soaking into her wrapper, blood staining her trembling fingers, she did not run, she did not scream, she did not beg for forgiveness. She just looked up at them with eyes that had seen too much, eyes that carried weight heavier than grief, and she said, "I did what she asked me to do." Village exploded, shock, rage, horror, confusion. How could a daughter, a good daughter, do such a thing? What kind of evil possessed her? What kind of darkness lived in that house? They called her a monster, a witch, a demon in human skin. They demanded justice. They wanted her blood, but what they didn't know, what they could never have known, was that the girl they condemned as a killer was actually the girl who saved them all. If only they knew why her mother's last words to her were not a scream, but a whisper of gratitude. It happened 3 nights before anyone knew what Adiz had done. The scream, oh God, the scream, it tore through the village like lightning splitting a baobab tree. Mama Nkuru's scream, the kind that makes your blood run cold, the kind that wakes bobbies and sends dogs howling into the forest, the kind that travels not just through the air but through your bones. People grabbed their lanterns and ran, bare feet slapping wet earth, wrappers hastily tied, voices calling out in the darkness. What happened? Where is it coming from? Is it armed robbers? Is someone dying? They reached the house, Mama Nkuru's house, the small yellow bungalow with a mango tree in front, and found the door locked from the inside. They banged. They shouted, no answer, only silence now, the kind of silence that feels like something watching you. Finally, 3 men broke the door open, and there in the pale light of a single kerosene lamp they found her, Adiz, 22 years old, kneeling on the floor. Her mother's body lying still before her, no movement, no breath, no life. Adiz's wrapper was stained red. Her hands were trembling, her face was wet with tears, but her eyes were calm, too calm, like someone who had just finished a task they had been preparing for their entire life. One neighbor, Mama Emeka, rushed forward. Adiz, Adiz, what happened? What did you do? Adiz looked up slowly, her voice came out soft, steady. I did what she asked me to do. Room went silent. Because that answer, that impossible answer, made no sense, unless you knew the truth, and the truth was buried so deep, so dark, so unspeakable that even the earth refused to hold it. By sunrise, the entire village knew Adiz had killed her mother, and the rumors spread like wildfire in Harmattan. She poisoned her with rat poison. No, I heard she strangled her with her bare hands. They say she used juju, dark juju. That girl was always strange, always too quiet. I told you. Didn't I tell you, children who don't play with others, something is always wrong with them? Was jealous. Mama Ankura was planning to remarry. The daughter didn't want a stepfather. Possessed, that's what it is. The devil entered her and made her do it. At the police station, they interrogated her again and again and again. Why did you kill your mother? Silence. She beat you? Silence. Did she refuse you something? Silence. Talk. Why won't you talk? But Adiz just sat there, hands folded in her lap, staring at the wall, not crying, not trembling, not defending herself, just silent. And that silence, that stubborn, maddening silence, became the evidence they needed. Her calmness became proof of her cruelty, her lack of tears became proof of her coldness, her refusal to explain became proof of her guilt. The community had made up its mind Adiz was a monster, a daughter who killed the woman who gave her life. What could be worse than that? But monsters, you see, are not always born. Sometimes they are made, sometimes they're chosen, sometimes they sacrifice themselves so others can live. And if anyone had stopped, if anyone had truly looked into Adiz's eyes, they would have seen it, the girl carrying the weight of 7 generations on her shoulders, the girl who loved her mother so much she was willing to be hated forever. When the police investigators came to search the house, something felt wrong. Officer Chukwu was the first to notice. He had been a policeman for 15 years. He had walked through crime scenes that would make your stomach turn. He had seen bodies, blood, violence, but this house was different. Oga, his junior officer, whispered beside him. You dey feel em? Officer Chukwu nodded slowly. The air was too heavy, like trying to breathe underwater. The temperature was wrong, cold in some corners, burning hot in others, and the silence had a presence. Like something invisible was standing in the room with them. Watching, waiting, they moved through the parlor. The kitchen, the bathroom, everything looked normal, too normal. Except for small things, bowls of water in every corner, black water like ink, chairs facing the wall instead of the table. Broom placed upside down behind the door, white chalk marks on the floor that formed strange patterns. And then they reached Mama Enkuru's bedroom. The door was locked from the inside, but Mama Enkuru had died in the parlor. So who locked it? Officer Chukwu and his partner exchanged glances. They broke the lock. The door swung open slowly, creaking like something from a nightmare. Inside, the walls were covered, completely covered in white chalk drawings, circles within circles, names written backwards, symbols that looked like they came from another time, another world. On the bed, untouched and carefully placed, was a small bundle wrapped in red cloth. Officer Chukwu unwrapped it with shaking hands. Inside, 7 cowrie shells, black and white. A rusted needle, a lock of gray hair tied with thread, and a small piece of paper folded many times. He unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, desperate, one sentence written over and over and over. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Officer Chukwu stepped back from the bed. His throat was dry. This was not a murder, he said quietly. His partner looked at him. Then what can he be? Officer Chukwu shook his head. I don't know, but something happened in this house. Something we don't have words for. Me take you back many years before that terrible morning. Back to when Adiz was just 8 years old. A small girl with big eyes and a silence that made adults uncomfortable. She sat in the back of her classroom, always alone, always watching. While other children played during break time, she would stay inside, drawing in her notebook, not flowers, not houses, strange symbols, patterns, circles. One day her teacher, Mrs. Akafer, leaned over her desk. Adiz, my dear, why don't you go outside and play with the other children? Adiz looked up, her face serious. Can't, Ma, not because I have to go home early to help my mother. Mrs. Akafer smiled. Help her with what? Cooking. Adiz paused, then said very quietly, keep the doors closed. Akafer blinked. What doors, dear? Adiz didn't answer. She just went back to drawing her circles. That night Mrs. Akafer had a dream. She was in a dark house. Every door was wide open. And something with no shape, no face, just presence, was walking from room to room looking for something. Looking for someone? She woke up screaming, her husband shaking her, asking what was wrong. She never asked Adiz another question after that, because even as a child, Adiz knew things children should not know. She knew when someone in the village was going to die. She would stare at them with those big, unblinking eyes. She knew when the rains would fail. She would refuse to plant her seeds in the school garden. She knew when something was coming. She would stand at the window at night, watching the darkness like it was watching her back. And her mother, Mama Enkuru, would hold her close and whisper the same warning over and over. Adiz, my daughter, never speak of what you see. Do you hear me? Never. Yes, Mama, if you speak, people will die. Yes, Mama. One day, when I am too weak to carry it anymore, you will have to choose. Little Adiz looked up at her mother with tears in her eyes. Choose what, Mama? Mama Enkuru's voice broke. Saving me and saving the world. For years, she kept the rule until she was 10. It was a Sunday. The whole village was in church. The choir was singing. Voices lifted high, the congregation clapping and swaying. Mama Enkuru was in the choir that day, her voice clear and beautiful. But Adiz saw it, the shadow standing behind her mother, tall, thin, formless, not a person, not a thing, just presence. It stood so close to Mama Enkuru that it looked like it was whispering in her ear. Adiz's stomach turned cold. She stood up from the pew, walked to the front, and tugged on Pastor Mbaka's robe. Pastor, she whispered urgently. He looked down, surprised. Yes, my child, there's something behind my mother. Pastor Mbaka smiled kindly. That's just the Holy Spirit, Adiz. We are all filled with— No, Adiz interrupted, her voice shaking. It's not the Holy Spirit. Pastor frowned, kneeling down to her level. Then what is it? Adiz's lips trembled. It's waiting. Waiting for what? She looked him in the eyes, her to get weak. The pastor's smile faded. The service continued. The songs went on, the prayers were said. But that night, Pastor Mbaka's wife collapsed in their kitchen. No warning, no sickness, no explanation, just collapsed. She died 3 days later. Pastor Mbaka came to Mama Enkuru's house, his face pale, his hands shaking. What is your daughter? He demanded. Mama Enkuru stood in the doorway, her face like stone. She is my burden, and you will never speak of this again. My wife, your wife is gone, and if you want to keep yourself, you will leave my house. Now. Pastor left. And inside, Mama Enkuru knelt down in front of Adiz and held her face gently. Do you see now, my daughter? Do you see what happens when you speak? Adiz was crying. I'm sorry, Mama, I'm sorry. SHHH, it's not your fault, but you must never break the rule again. Never. I won't, Mama, I promise. And she didn't, not for 12 more years, not until the night when silence was no longer enough. Now let me tell you what Mama Nkuru really was. She was not a witch, she was not evil. She was something the modern world has no name for: a gatekeeper. Her grandmother had been one before her. Her mother had been one after that, and when her mother died, the duty passed to Mama Nkuru. In every village and every town there are things that do not belong to the world of the living, things that were bound long ago by blood covenants, by sacrifices made in the old times, by agreements no one alive today fully understands. Mama Nkuru's family had been tasked, for 7 generations, with keeping one of those things contained. It had no name that could be spoken, it had no form that could be seen clearly, but it existed, and it fed on fear, on sorrow. On the slow unraveling of hope left unchecked, it would spread through the village like a plague, turning neighbor against neighbor, filling dreams with nightmares, making the strong weak and the joyful empty. It had to be stopped. And the only way to stop it was to give it a vessel. A living person, someone strong enough to contain it, someone willing to carry it inside themselves so it would not spread to others. Mama Nkuru had been that vessel since she was 17 years old. For 25 years she endured, 25 years of hearing voices that were not hers, 25 years of fighting to stay herself, 25 years of waking up not knowing if today would be the day she finally lost. She never told anyone, not her husband before he died, not her friends. Not even her daughter, until there was no choice left. She carried it alone, in silence, in suffering, in love. Because that's what gatekeepers do, they sacrifice themselves so others can live in peace. But every vessel has a limit, and Mama Nkuru's time was running out. The signs started small. Mama Nkuru would wake up with scratches on her arms, thin deep lines that appeared overnight. She didn't remember getting them. Then she started forgetting things: where she put her keys, what she went to the market to buy, the names of people she had known her whole life. Then came the voices. At night, Adiz would wake to the sound of her mother talking, but the voice was wrong, deep, slow, mocking, speaking words in a language Adiz didn't recognize. One night she crept to her mother's door and listened. The voice said, "She's weakening. Soon I will walk again, soon I will feast." Adiz covered her mouth to keep from screaming. Then one morning Mama Nkuru looked in the mirror and froze. Her eyes, they were not her eyes, they were black. Completely black, no white, no color, just darkness. She screamed. Adiz ran into the room. "Mama, what's wrong?" By the time Adiz reached her, Mama Nkuru's eyes were normal again, but tears were streaming down her face. "It's happening," she whispered. "It's taking me." That night Mama Nkuru sat Adiz down. The lamp was low. The house was quiet. Mama Nkuru's hands were shaking as she held her daughter's. "Adiz, my daughter, I need to tell you the truth." Adiz's heart was pounding. "I already know, Mama," she said quietly. "I've always known you carry something dark." Nkuru nodded, tears falling. "Yes, and when I die it will try to pass to you, blood to blood. That is the covenant." Adiz's voice was steady. "Then I will carry it like you did." "No," Mama Nkuru's voice cracked like thunder. "No, my child, I will not let you suffer as I have suffered." "Then what do we do, Mama? How do we stop it?" Mama Nkuru took a deep breath. "There is only one way. The old way, the forbidden way." She paused, her voice breaking. "The vessel must die before it fully takes over, and it must die by the hand of the next heir." The room went cold. Adiz stared at her mother. "You want me to kill you?" she whispered. "I want you to free me," Mama Nkuru said, gripping her daughter's hands tighter. "And free every daughter that comes after you. If you do this, the covenant breaks, the cycle ends. No one else will ever have to carry this burden." "Mama, I can't do that." "You can, you must, because if you don't, it will take me completely, and then it will take you, and it will never stop." Adiz was sobbing now. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." Mama Nkuru cupped her daughter's face. "Listen to me, when the time comes I will tell you, you will know, and you must not hesitate. Do you understand, Mama? Promise me, Adiz, promise me you will do this." Her tears through her breaking heart, Adiz whispered, "I promise." After the murder, strange things began to happen in the village. People reported seeing figures at night, tall shadows standing outside Mama Nkuru's house, not moving, just standing, watching. If you approached them, they would vanish like smoke. Dogs refused to go near the compound. Birds would not land on the roof. Children walked faster when they passed the gate. And at night, if you listened very carefully, you could hear it, whispering, not voices, not words. Just a low, constant whispering like wind through a crack in the wall. One man, Uncle Jidana, decided to prove there was nothing to fear. He volunteered to sleep in the house overnight. He went in at sunset, bold and confident. By midnight he came running out, his wrapper falling off, his eyes wide with terror. He refused to say what he saw, he refused to even look at the house again. The elders knew something was still there, and it was angry. Elder Osendu was the oldest man in the village, 93 years old, bent like a question mark, but his eyes still saw clearly. He went to the police station and asked to see Adiz. They let him in. Sat across from her in the small hot room. For a long time he just looked at her, then he spoke. I know what you did. Adiz said nothing. I knew your grandmother, Elder Osendu continued. I knew your mother, I know what runs in your blood. Then you know I had no choice. Do, he said softly, but they don't, and they will kill you if you don't speak. If I speak, Adiz said, her voice steady as stone, it will finish what it started, people will die. Elder nodded slowly. So you carry this alone. He stood, placed a weathered hand on her head and closed his eyes. You are stronger than your mother, stronger than your grandmother. May you find peace, child, may you find peace. He left. Meanwhile, back at the house, investigators found something hidden under Mama Nkuru's mattress, a diary, pages and pages of her handwriting, rituals, prayers, desperate, broken prayers. One entry dated 3 months before her death read, grows stronger every day. I can feel it laughing inside me. I see things that are not there, I say things I do not mean. My daughter watches me with fear in her eyes, and I do not blame her. I am no longer fully myself, I have failed, but I will not let it take her. There is only one way left, the old way, the forbidden way. I will ask her to do what no mother should ever ask, and I will die knowing I saved her. The last entry, written the night she died, made the officer reading it weep. Tonight, it must be tonight, before I lose myself completely. Forgive me, my daughter. Forgive me for the burden I place on you, but you are the last. After you this ends, I love you. I have always loved you. Do not hesitate. Officer closed the diary with shaking hands. This was not murder, this was sacrifice. 3 nights after the burial, Adiz had a dream. Her mother appeared not as a ghost, not in suffering, but standing in light, smiling. Mama, Adiz whispered. You did well, my daughter, Mama Nkuru said. They hate me, Mama. They think I'm a monster. Them think what they wish. You and I know the truth. It worth it, all this pain? Mama Nkuru reached out, though she could not touch her. You are free, Adiz, free from the curse, and so is every daughter who comes after you. That is worth everything. She began to fade. Mama, wait, be strong a little longer, my child, just a little longer. She disappeared. Adiz woke with tears on her face, but also for the first time in years, lightness in her chest. Meanwhile, the village elders, desperate for answers, brought in a prophet to expose the demon in Adiz. The ritual was violent, chanting, smoke, holy water, but just as the prophet raised his staff over Adiz's head, the room shook, candles exploded, the prophet fell backward, gasping, clutching his chest, and a voice, not Adiz, not human, spoke through the air, she is not yours to take. Everyone ran. The ritual was never attempted again. In a quiet moment alone with Elder Osendu, Adiz finally spoke the full truth. My mother begged me, she said, her voice breaking. Every day she was losing herself. Bit by bit she would look at me and not recognize me. She would speak in voices that were not hers. Elder listened. That last night, Adiz continued, she was herself again just for a few minutes. Her eyes were clear. She looked at me and said, now my daughter, please, before it comes back now. Tears rolled down her face. And so I obeyed. Elder Osendu's eyes were wet. That is not murder, child. I will be hated for it, Adiz said. Forever. He admitted. You will, she nodded. Then I will carry that because she is free and no daughter after me will ever suffer this curse again. Elder wept openly. You have paid the highest price, he whispered. Price of love. Slowly, quietly the signs faded, the watchers stopped appearing, the whispers ceased, the house grew still, normal life returned to the village, no plague came. No disaster struck. The thing that had haunted 7 generations was gone, starved, ended, finished, but no one knew, no one understood, they just moved on. The case against Adiz fell apart due to lack of evidence. She was released quietly, no apology, no acknowledgement, just freedom. She packed her small bag and left the village alone, unloved but unburdened. Years passed. The story of the girl who killed her mother became a cautionary tale parents told their children. Respect your mother or you'll end up like that evil girl. But one day someone asked Elder Osendu, the only one who knew the truth, whatever happened to that girl, the one who killed her mother? The elder, now very old, very tired, looked into the distance. She didn't kill her mother, he said softly. The person frowned. Then what did she do? Elder Osendu smiled, sad but proud. She saved us all. Far away in a city by the coast, Adiz lives under a new name. She works in a small library, surrounded by books and silence. She speaks to few people. But every evening she walks by the ocean, feeling the wind on her face, watching the sun set over the water, free, unloved by many, but loved deeply by the one who mattered most, her mother. And every night before she closes her eyes, she whispers into the darkness, "It is finished, Mama. The curse is broken. No daughter will suffer what we suffered. I made sure of it." Wind carries her words into the night. And somewhere in the place between worlds, a mother smiles. She killed her mother so no child after her would ever have to fade to black, if only they knew.